Welcome, Ahmed. How is Uganda coping with the COVID-19 pandemic?
Thank you very much, Milton. We must say that we are coping under all circumstances because it's the best way to go. We're in what is called a lockdown, and our lockdown is a total lockdown in the sense that every business has come to a halt. We're now getting into our 18th day.
18 days.
Yes, because we first had 14 days of a lockdown, whereby within those 14 days, first it was the public transport that was closed down. Then motorcyclists and cyclists were allowed to be coming to town, but the cyclists ending at 6, and then the motorbikers ending at 2. And then the private cars were being allowed in to drive in and out up to about 6 o'clock. About 7 o'clock, yeah.
Was this all focused in Kampala?
No, the whole country.
We've been locked down for about 3 weeks now. We're going into another 3 weeks, yeah? So yeah. We seem to have gone into lockdown the same time as you did, yeah? But we didn't have that process. Our public transport is still going, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
So what is the stats in Uganda with regards to people who have been infected by the virus?
As we speak of today, of about 7,000 tests done, we have 55 Ugandans that have been infected. We've got 1 Kenyan and 1 Tanzanian, and these were truck drivers that were bringing goods, because when the lockdown came about, the borders were closed, but cargo planes and cargo trucks were allowed to come in the country with only the crew members. But the crew members are subjected to tests. So those 2 others are the ones that are bringing the number to 57, but for Ugandans, the number is 55. And so far, the success story is that 20 of those have been cured and discharged, despite the fact that there's no known cure for the virus. But there is what is called a supportive kind of cure, supportive care that is being given to the victims, and it seems to be doing right.
It's interesting that you've only done 7,000 tests. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think it's going to go up?
Chances are high that the interventions that have been done by the government are most likely going to help out, because there's no choice. You can't say that, no, I won't go by the rules of the government. You must go by the rules of the government. The government is not taking any jokes on this, and it's something that they've taken chance to come and educate the people day in, day out. The president has had about 8 speeches to the nation on TV and all radios, telling the people why he's doing what he's doing. So you don't have a chance to negotiate on that. So it hurts. Yes, it hurts, because you can't, like me now, I've been home for all these days, not driving out. If I want to move out, I have to maybe walk. Once in a while, I have to take a motorbike when I'm going shopping only. You know, the government, like I told you last time, tried to give out food. Is trying to give out food to the vulnerable poor. They're looking at 1.5 million people within the urban centers, mostly people who have been getting money today and buying food today, so that they try to keep them home. It might not be enough, but it's some good intervention too.
How would you describe your government in terms of being proactive with this virus? Are you happy with what they've done? And can you give us some examples of what they did?
I would think, like when it is first announced to you without any preparation, because the way it was announced, the president just came on TV at 8 p.m. and announced the first guidelines. One of the most hurting guidelines of the night was that the curfew starts now at 10, and the president was on TV at the time when he announced that. It was about 9:45. So you can imagine how people were unprepared and wherever they were. But later on, he came and explained why he did that. Because he knew people would want to rush out of town thinking that COVID is in towns and go to the villages or things like that. And by going to the villages, that influx probably would be like a catalyst for infections and stuff like that. So he wanted to keep everyone where they were. In other words, everyone was almost frozen from where you are. So at 10 o'clock, actually, the security, especially the police, swung in action, stopping every car that was driving at 10. Imagine, 15 minutes, it doesn't matter where you were, and all the cars were taken to police. But the next day when he came in, he said, yes, I did it intentionally. Please hand back all the cars that were impounded at 9:45 and let them go home and start. The proper curfew is starting tomorrow at 7 p.m. Okay. So when you look at the guidelines and the continued reminders for people to wash their hands, don't touch their faces, don't touch their nose, the mouth, and stuff like that, I think it is sinking in more in people. Because even when the schools were closed, now the schools were closed almost about the same time, the kids had started being told about the coronavirus before even it was named COVID-19. They knew about coronavirus, and they know coronavirus is not something to play around with. People are trying as much as possible. That's why I have a feeling that the numbers will be kept very minimal. Only that now people are worried about the truck drivers, most especially who coming in from what you would call countries that have high numbers of the infected, like Tanzania and Kenya. People are worried. When they come in, they do a test, but they're allowed to continue with their goods wherever they're going. If they're going to South Sudan, if they're going to Tanzania, or if they're going to Rwanda or Burundi, they're allowed, because the results come in about 48 hours or so, because we have one testing center in Entebbe, Uganda Virus Research Institute. When the samples are collected, they have to be sent to Entebbe. So you can see that kind of time lag. So people are worried, people are saying, no, the truck drivers should be kept where they've been tested from and only be cleared if they don't have the virus.
How is the mood of the country then? Is there any protests regarding the lockdown? And just in concluding, how do you think Uganda is going to come out of this? What do you think the next
yes, the mood, yes, you would say it is a somber mood, like people are just getting used to this. But the good thing now, people are joking that probably because they were given first 14 days of lockdown, now we've been given 21 days, which is 3 weeks. Probably we'll get another 21 days to totally break the cycle, which is okay. It is better to go through this kind of situation, and we avoid the big numbers of dead people. We know, yes, someone will tell you that Ebola kills more people than the coronavirus, but the coronavirus, once it breaks down, it's a little bit very, very, very hard to break the cycle. Now, how we'll come out, it's going to be mostly a two-way thing. Technology in Uganda, especially in the urban centers, is trying to catch up a little bit, yes, despite the fact that the internet is still very, very expensive. But people are learning to use technology to work from home, from wherever they are, than going to the offices. Like I said, it's going to be two-way. One way, it is going to hurt probably some companies realize that maybe we did not need the 20 employees we had. Probably now we need 15, or maybe we need 10, or maybe we need them to be working from the fringes, like from their homes and stuff like that. I'm anticipating that for some few companies. But in most developing countries, it is mostly more of a hands-on and on-site thing. Yes, but still, because we're not looking at a way of the government funding companies that are already hurt, because some companies, especially those for the Chinese and a few others, some have closed and asked their employees to go back home. And the chances are high that when they reopen, these employees will most likely lose their jobs, because some of them have even gone to them demanding a pay right now, which pay can't come forth. So you can imagine. Two, the other thing I expect, most businesses, because Uganda, when you realize, used to be a country based on agriculture. But these days, agriculture becomes a little bit expensive for a common man, and people have resorted to things they think can make a little bit of quick money, and later on probably resort to agriculture after 5 to 6 years. But the businesses themselves are going to be hurt, because you see most of the imports of Uganda come from China, come from Dubai. No more supplies. And even those supplies that came in, when the supplies came in, most businesses bring in the goods, open their shops or whatever they are, and sell, then raise money for the taxes, which are a little bit high, and money for the shipping, consignment shipping. But now that they've been closed for about 14 days, it's going to even be very hard for people to clear their goods, unless when the government kind of intervenes and says, okay, take your goods, go sell, you'll come and pay us later, which is most unlikely. So,
well, Uganda's always been known as the breadbasket of the whole of Africa. So do you feel in the next 2-3 years, it will, go back to its roots and start to feed the whole of Africa?
Yeah, I even think right now, because what the president and other, most especially political leaders and cultural leaders have been urging their people to do, that now you have a lot of time not to go in the centers to discuss politics or discuss this or that. Spend most of that time in your gardens. Even if you're doing subsistence farming or a little bit of partial farming, keep your time there. So I think in a way, it's going to be a blessing in disguise, because people, instead of wasting time on the streets, they'll be farming. And by the time we come out of this lockdown, probably there'll be much more even food to sell and give and also export.
Ahmed, thank you so much. I'll contact you next week to find out how the government and the citizens of Uganda are coping with this deadly virus.
Yeah? Thank you so much, Milton Brown. My heart goes out to my friends and all the people of Britain and the people of the USA, people of Italy, people of Spain. Oh, it's really very heartbreaking when you see the news talking about 60,000 people, talking about 1,500 people dying in a day. Well, we know we have to die at a certain point, but those are very heartbreaking big numbers. We pray that Allah the Almighty makes it better for us, because we are just human beings. Whatever could have happened, we need to be forgiven once more.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll speak to you next week, and God bless you, my brother.